For all verified facts, subscribe to our YouTube channel and click the bell icon to get the latest updates.
Hello and welcome. The Union Budget 2021 is coming up on the back of a very difficult period, COVID-19 followed by an economic shock, and the economy is only now just about beginning to recover, not just in India but the rest of the world. This does affect, has affected already and will affect obviously the finances of the government. The finances of the government, the money that it earns, are broadly divided into two parts: the direct taxes that you and I pay from our incomes, and the indirect taxes that we pay whenever we buy anything that could range from a car or a white good or groceries, or for that matter something that you order online, and every liter of petrol or diesel that you fill into your two-wheeler or three or four-wheeler. So that's where the government earns its money. Today we're going to talk about indirect taxes, the money that you do not pay directly from your income but otherwise. And the question is, what could this budget do, and what should it be doing in order to ensure that maybe the burden on you could be reduced, or should you be preparing for an increased burden given that the government's finances are not in very good shape? So to discuss this, I'm joined by two experts: Harpreet Singh, partner indirect tax at KPMG, and Prateek Jain, partner and leader indirect tax at PwC India. Thank you both for joining me. Prateek, let me start with you. So when we talk about indirect tax, what is at play in general and in specific ahead of this year's union budget to be presented on the 1st of February 2021 by the Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman?
Yes, so the excitement around indirect tax has come down in the last 4 years, right? As far as indirect taxes, I mean, because GST is outside the budget. Because GST, the way we are framed, when GST came in, it's a GST council which decides the rates and everything else. So that will be not part of the budget. And therefore, every year when we were glued to the TV screen to say, okay, this will go up and this will go down, that's not going to happen this time.
Prateek, and also that means that if I were to get a quick explanation from you, that GST is what affects most of our daily buying decision, purchasing pattern, right?
Yeah, so not too much an impact on the domestically produced goods, but if you're talking about imports into India, there is a likelihood of some custom duty increases. Because see, India is talking about Atmanirbhar Bharat, right? Where they are trying to encourage manufacturing in India. And government has come up with various incentives. Most recent was production-linked incentive schemes for certain sectors. These sectors include consumer electronics, medical, auto, and things like that. So in order to provide further incentive to domestic manufacturer, there is a possibility that import of some of these items might be made more expensive by increasing the custom duties. So that's one area which we'll have to watch out for. The other area is that excise duty on petroleum products and tobacco, because most of the other products are covered under GST now. So that's not, as I explained, not part of the budget per se, right? But petroleum products and tobacco are two big areas where government has a play and they can increase or decrease the excise duties. Now on tobacco, last year there was a significant increase which already has happened. So to my mind, it's slightly unlikely that they will touch it. And for the petroleum products, while the industry has asked for a reduction in rates, I don't think they have a fiscal room to do that. So they might go with the status quo there, right? So these are the two areas to watch out for, in addition to custom duties on few of the products.
Right. Okay. Harpreet, your views on broadly where you think indirect taxes could actually, or either positively or negatively, affect my life as we go into this budget season?
Sure. So, so Prateek has covered pretty much, what I wanted to say. But to my mind, while on tobacco products, the rates were increased last time, but yet, the rates on chewing tobacco and BD is lesser vis-a-vis the normal cigarettes. So perhaps the government may think of increasing them to a level where all tobacco products have the same rate. And last time I remember, toys had become costlier, cosmetic products had become costlier. So, keeping in line with that trend, I do expect increase in customs duty rate in a lot of finished products. See, the agenda of the government is to provide as much impetus to manufacturing in India as possible, and they've announced what is known as production-linked incentive schemes to encourage manufacture in India, and and again to provide a boost to that, what they may perhaps do is increase, customs duty on finished goods. For example, they are looking at the manufacturing of laptops in India. India, unfortunately, does not manufacture as much laptops as are consumed. So perhaps we could see an increase in the price of laptops. Similarly, last year they had taken care of toys, air conditioners, etc. Other thing is smartphones. India still imports a lot of smartphone in India. A lot of smartphones are imported in India, so they may perhaps increase the customs duty on these end products, at the same time reduce the custom duty on imports of raw materials which go into the manufacturing of these products. So that trend, as Pratik mentioned, I also foresee that trend to continue. And GST, of course, is outside a budget, because most of the decisions are taken by the GST Council. While if you look at all trade representations or budget recommendations, most of it do cover GST. But the trend has been that the finance minister only makes, say, policy announcements around GST. So she might say that, going forward, electronic invoicing would be applicable on all assessees. Probably the returns would be completely automated. Instead of having two returns in GST, we may have one return. So she may, at a policy level, announce some relief in compliances, but nothing specific on GST is expected out of this budget.
Okay, and Pratik, so would it be correct to say that most of what affects my life as a citizen or a consumer in this country is really connected to GST? That's number one. Number two, assuming if that is the case and maybe nothing will happen, what else could it be on GST that could be done in this budget, particularly in a way that it makes life for the millions of small and medium enterprises much easier?
Two points, Govind. One is one specific aspect which we're not talked about, which could impact all of us, is a possibility of a COVID cess, which might come in, right? So there is a discussion already happening on that. Now, cess has been a favorite of the government for a number of years. One of the reasons is that the cess collected, you don't need to share with the state governments. So that works better, and it is a good measure to have a short-term financing for a specific activity. So let's say for vaccination, you want to collect some funds, you impose this. Of course, from a business standpoint, it complicates the matters, because cess is a short-term thing. You have to make all the adjustments, IT system changes, and so on and so forth. And the question is, at this point in time, when the economy is still finding its feet, is it a good idea to impose a new tax? But what I'm hearing is that there is a contemplation of COVID cess, and if it were to be introduced, it could be broad-based on many products and services. And even if the rate is 1% or 2%, of course it will impact all of us, right? So that's one area that we'll have to watch out for. As far as GST is concerned, as I said, not much is going to happen in this budget, because the GST Council which takes decisions. But directionally, there could be announcement. For example, we talked about MSMEs. So, is the government thinking about, making the compliances easy for MSME? Are they thinking about one common GST return and income tax return for smaller businesses, let's say over 1 year or so? How are they using technology for tax administration? Some of the manual processes that still is there, are they trying to sort of make it sort of digital? Those are the things that they can come up with, but there'll be more like policy announcement. Nothing immediately will happen from 1st of February on those, right? What will immediately happen is clearly if there are changes in the custom duty rates and things like that. Now, one other area that we will have to watch out for is, do they come up with any export incentives for certain sectors? Because we all know that sectors like textiles and leather and many others have been badly hit. So do they come up with a short-term announcement to say, okay, for 1 year, I will give you some incentives over and above what you already get? So those are the things that we'll have to watch out for, in addition to the imported products, which I think will be the key feature of the budget.
Right. Harpreet, I mean, India is already enjoys, if that is the term, one of the highest indirect to direct tax regimes in the world. As I understand it, we pay almost 65 or collect 65% of income as indirect tax and maybe about 35% as direct tax. Now, this ratio should ideally reverse if we were to follow other countries, which means the government earns more from income taxes, that is from taxes on income that people like you and me earn, versus taxing us on goods and services and so on. Is that a path that you think we will go further down this time, or is it still a longer wish list?
In fact, I've heard the contrary. So, our KPMG Global head of indirect tax had visited India, and this was during the last budget. And, because of the experience of visiting many countries, he mentioned that across the globe, the trend is that even income taxes are eventually, converting into what is called as consumption tax. So the trend is
Okay.
to convert everything into one tax, which is consumption, and that too at the end level. So while it was initially contemplated that GST would simplify life for all of us, but the mechanism of availing input credits, whatever taxes you pay on your purchases, you get a set off from your output liability. All of that has not been, as simple as we all of us contemplated. Not only in India, but many other countries, especially those which have a federal structure. Where there is state government, central government, they need to share. States blaming the center that we're not getting the share on time. So eventually, going by what I've heard from my senior partners across the globe, the trend is towards one tax, perhaps a consumption tax, which would finally subsume both income tax and indirect tax. I mean, that is bad news for both me and Prateek, because life would be simpler for our clients, but that is a trend. Having said that, whenever we talk about budget, I always think about three C's. It's famously said that budgets should all be about cuts. Cuts would mean reduction in rate of GST income tax. Second is certainty, because Indian tax authorities have been known for making amendments, especially retrospective amendments. And third is clarity. At times it happens, after the budget, all of us receive calls and as to what has been announced. In spite of going through the notifications, memorandum, etc., we are unable to explain to the industry. So budget should be fairly simple, clear. Whatever is introduced should be certain, and of course everybody would want a cut in the personal tax and the GST rates.
Okay, so let me get a last wish list from both of you. Prateek, let me start with you. So as you go ahead, both for industry, small enterprises, from an indirect tax point of view, what is the one thing that you would like which is feasible, and the one thing that maybe lies a little far away, like that consumption tax that Harpreet talked about?
Yeah, just to carry on that point, I think indirect tax is going to be much more significant in future as well. Primarily because indirect tax is much easier to collect, right? So you can collect today's country's 80%, let's say, GST from, say, top 500 companies or 1,000 companies, because that's how the bigger companies will produce, and you collect. Of course, you collect at various levels, but it's much easier to collect. Income tax, today only 1.3, 1.4 crore people actually file the returns, etc., and that's a big concern. But one very important trend is that the tax base is expanding, right? Even in a COVID time, you see GST collection in December has been 1.15 lakh crore. That means that whatever efforts government has been putting, and some of the things that have been talked about, e-invoicing and things like that, is finally, giving, sort of taking shape. Now, in terms of the wish list, right? I mean, my wish list would be, first wish list would be don't increase the tax rates, right? I don't expect too many cuts on tax rates, neither on income tax nor on indirect taxes. Maybe for income tax, you just to spur the demand, you might give some medical reimbursement and things like that, but nothing very significant there as well. So don't increase the tax rates. That would be my first wish list. Don't impose a new tax, which is like a COVID cess kind of a thing. Third is, at least come up with some clarity on the export incentives, which industry is waiting for. In fact, there are schemes like SEIS, etc., for service exporters. Is not too much of clarity what's going to happen. So that's one clarity. And second is directionally talk about that how are you going to simplify the tax compliances, particularly for the smaller businesses. And as I said, there the direct tax and indirect tax integration, good idea. In 2014, there was a committee which was set up, which had in fact recommended that the CBDT and CBIC or CBEC at that point in time should be merged. So, what is government thinking about integrating income tax and indirect taxes more, which will simplify the life for the businesses?
Right. So are you saying it's not merged? Don't they work more together now than ever before?
No, it's not merged, right? So CBDT is a separate
Technically
wing.
still.
CBIC is a separate wing. They both report into Revenue Secretary.
Right.
Revenue Secretary moves to Ministry of Finance. And if you look at Partha Charte Shom report or 2014, etc., they are actually recommended there should not be any position for Revenue Secretary. Each of these boards should be controlled separately. They should have a secretary rank people, and they should both report to Finance Ministry. They had also said that why don't you merge both the boards together? So there is a lot of scope there from a tax administration point of view. I think beginning has been made, but and the last thing which I am hearing is a dispute resolution. That's something which come up to minimize the disputes for the businesses. Some kind of a settlement scheme that okay, if there is a dispute, before you get a notice, you can just go to tax authorities and try and settle the dispute. So if something of that sort comes, that'll be excellent.
Right. Okay. So making life easier is a critical theme, as I can see from all from your wish list. Harpreet, your wish list.
Sure. So Pratik has, while Pratik has pretty much covered everything, but I'll, like to add a few more points, especially a few more reasons. So, what we've witnessed in the last budget is that when the government increased the customs duty rate on some finished products, like, for example, big television sets, Indians, we could not manufacture the same amount of television sets in India. So, while raising the import duty definitely, curtails the imports, but then there is a supply chain issue. So, there are a lot of negatives of tariff increase. It may also lead to inflation because you don't have the supply which can meet the demand. Also, low duty on inputs may discourage manufacture of inputs into India. So basically, the government is thinking that we'll make imports of finished goods very costlier. At the same time, reduce the duty rates on inputs. But what happens to the manufacture of those inputs? Then nobody would be actually manufacturing those small components, and still we are dependent on overseas to, get this stuff. Similarly, on reducing the compliance burden, there are a lot of tropical things which the government can do during COVID time. See, everybody is struggling on account of working capital. One very simple thing could be in customs duty, when you import a lot of goods, whatever you import from 1st to 15th, you are supposed to make the payment on 17th. Similarly, whatever is imported by you from 15th till 30th of the month, by 3rd of next month, you need to pay that money. So generally you get 2 to 3 days to make the payment of entire customs duty to the authorities. Now the wish list is, can you increase this to say 7 days or 8 days? Can you give some more leeway? That would be very beneficial for the industry. Other point, while there would not be any announcements on GST, but one policy change is that whenever you have bad debts, you've made a supply to your customer, eventually it turned out that the customer has not made payment to you. So whenever there's a bad debt, whatever GST you could not collect, you are liable to pay to the government, because the GST law do not allow you to issue a credit note or claim a deduction of GST collected on which the money was not eventually recovered. So one policy change could be that if there's a bad debt, especially during COVID time, government gives you a facility to raise a credit note and claim a set-off of that. So some of these intelligent things around working capital management, etc., is something I'm looking forward to.
Right, and that's a very important note, Harpreet, that we finally yet to recover from COVID-19, the economic and of course the health shock. And therefore, many of us, whether it's individuals or small businesses, do still need help to get out of this phase and to obviously bounce back to recovery. On that note, thank you both for joining me and sharing your thoughts and wish lists.
Thank you.
Thank you.